Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is YLAM here. In today's, I guess it's really not a vlog, but it's more of a discussion. I want to talk a little bit about podcasting versus YouTube, the pros and cons of both, and why we actually should think about either or maybe both, because I feel like it's actually very important, especially to the next generation. It's one of those things where I think in the next generation, creating your own brand is almost a necessity because of how social things are now, because social media is so prevalent in pretty much all of our day-to-day affairs. So with all of that being said, there's kind of two ways to go about it now. There's video content and then there's podcasting. And a lot of people that, don't track technology as closely as I do think that podcasting is kind of a bygone era. Audio is just gone because, we are at the days of video. We have all these mirrorless cameras and all the technology is getting better, but actually, if you look at technology right now, audio is making a huge resurgence in the last few years. One of the reasons why I go to CES is because I'm actually keeping track of technology and what is hot right now. And one of the things that I notice when I go to CES is, what people are actually pushing towards and the trends going in what direction. And audio is really important. If you think about it, Apple has Siri, Microsoft has Cortana, Google has Google Home and its voice recognition software, especially in their Android platforms. And then Amazon has Alexa. So these are prominent companies, dominant companies that are spending millions, if not billions of dollars in voice recognition. And the reason for that is because in our day-to-day lives, we constantly want to do more in the same time period. And what they're finding out is that a lot of people are starting to consume content in audio so that they can do other things. With video, you have to actually watch the video and then you can't really do anything else. With audio, much like when we're listening to music, we can listen to music and we can actually perform other tasks. What they're finding out is that they're getting, more attention in the same time space that people are doing other things with. So it's become really important. So what does that mean to the normal person? If you're actually thinking about creating your brand or creating content, there's actually two avenues to go down. You can go down the video route or you can go down the audio route, or you could be like me, you can do both. Now, I do video content on cameras on YouTube, but for podcasting, I actually do it on drones. And, I've had success with both of them. Now, I don't have like phenomenal success. I'm not one of those, rare cases where like they get 1 million subscribers in a year. Okay. My use case is, through hard work, you can find success. That's my use case. I am, the quintessential person to say, if you try really hard and you're dedicated, you can succeed. And I am kind of the person, or I represent that type of person. There's still a lot of growth potential in both. And I think you should consider doing one or the other if you're thinking about creating your own brand, or if you just want to have a larger voice in the world, because I feel like that's important, especially to the next generation. If you are a part of the next generation getting ready to go into the workforce, you really need to think about creating your own brand and having a greater voice in the masses, because that's really going to get you much further than having like an extra 2 years of school. I mean, getting your degree is important, but like if getting your master's means you can't actually create your own brand, I think getting your own brand at this point is actually more important. But that's my opinion on that. Let's go ahead and discuss exactly what, the pros and cons of each are. Now, let's go ahead and discuss YouTube, because, this is a YouTube channel, or this is a YouTube video. YouTube is great in the fact that you have a huge audience that's already there, and Google's really great with their search engine algorithms. The thing to crack with YouTube is how do you get to the front page with the Google search algorithms, and a lot of it is just hard work, persistence, and getting that search engine to trust you. That's really kind of the nut to crack when it comes to growing your channel, is when can you actually grow with enough video content to where the search engine trusts your video content to be on the first page so that people will actually see your videos. It's not an easy process, and with YouTube, there's so much that you have to learn. You have to learn the video aspect of it, obviously the recording of it. You also have to learn about the audio. The audio, in my opinion, is actually more important for your videos, because you have to sound nice and crisp and clear in your videos for people to actually want to watch your content. So Audio, super important even on YouTube. And then you have to consider the content, and then you have to learn how to actually tag, make sure that your make sure that your keywords are actually relevant and that they're actually searchable. There's a lot to learn there, but the benefit, the big upside to this is that YouTube, you can actually make money on YouTube. With podcasting, it is extremely hard to actually make it profitable. You will get recognition. You will be able to, get access to certain events, maybe get access to certain people, make connections. But in terms of making money on podcasting, that's actually still extremely difficult. It's actually kind of one of the frontiers that podcasting is going through right now. They're trying to take what they did with YouTube and they're trying to apply it to podcasting right now, but it's in its really early fundamental stages, which that could be a really good thing for podcasting, because if monetization isn't there yet, but you start making podcast content, when it does get there, you will have already an audience, and monetization will kind of just follow along, but it's still probably got another couple of years before it even gets to that. So on the YouTube side, while it is much harder, I think the growth rate could be exponential once you get the search engine to trust you, and the profitability is definitely significantly better. I mean, even with my small channel, I noticed that with the increase in views, even if it's just like a couple of thousand, that does translate into dollars. So that's going to be important for some of you. It's not significant for me. I'm here to build a community and I'm just working my way through it, learning it, and it's been a great process, but it's been a process where it takes a lot of work, okay? Don't get me wrong, okay? Whether you go podcasting or YouTube, you better be willing to spend a lot of time and a lot of hard work in order to make either of them. I'm not saying they're easy. Now let's go ahead and flip over to podcasting. What is great about podcasting? I think podcasting is great if you have never done like public relations, or if you never presented, or if you just, you're kind of leery to actually be in front of the camera or just to be in front of a group of people, because it's just your voice. You can record it nearly anywhere, and it's really easy to edit just voice and not video, because there's like great audio editing tools, and you can scrub out so much stuff that's super easy to do. Like in terms of podcasting and getting started, I think it's actually very simple, because you can just choose a topic and then you can talk about it at your leisure, and then you can just edit it together and really send it out. And like the podcasting platform, the only one that's actually super popular and relevant is iTunes. They accept just about anyone. You just sign up, they will put you on there, and then you start doing your own, make sure you advertise a little bit saying that, this podcast exists, and you'll be surprised how quickly it can grow. There is kind of like a hard cap if you don't actually make it into one of the ranking lists, because we are actually at the top of one of the ranking lists for like amateur sports. We do get a lot of new people coming in, so there is some search engine optimization going on the iTunes side that you kind of have to work your way through. But for the most part, you're going to have to do your own advertising. And as long as your content is good, you'll be surprised how many people actually listen to podcasts. And people that listen to podcasts, they usually consume a lot of it. So if you make an hour-long podcast, that's like a one-way trip on one person's day. So there's actually plenty of people looking for additional podcasts, or they just want a little bit of variety. So there's definitely a lot of potential, a lot of audience for you to grab. The only problem, like I said before, is that there's really not a good chance right now to monetize it. You really need a lot of downloads. I'm talking about at least like 25,000 downloads in a 1 week period, which is very difficult to do. For example, our podcast, we get a couple of thousand per week, but that's not enough to get it to monetize over like a sponsorship like Squarespace or something like that. They're very popular advertising both on YouTube and on podcasts. So it's one of those things where you will get recognition, you will get doors opened, you will get connections. But if you want to make money, podcasting just isn't quite there yet. But there is technology being worked on to get it there. So if you want to be in early on the podcasting revolution in terms of monetizing that content, you can do it right now. It's just that monetizing hasn't been figured out over on the podcasting side, at least not for small podcasts, okay? For big podcasts, it has been figured out, but to get to a big podcast, you have to start being you have to be a small podcast. So there's a big gap, and trying to jump that gap is still very difficult right now in the podcasting world. So those are kind of my like preliminary discussion points. I actually want to do a couple of videos in next couple of Wednesdays talking about podcasting. If you have any specific questions, or if you want to know a little bit more about either side, definitely leave it in the comments below. I'd be glad to talk about it because this is something that does interest me. There's been a lot of discussion, personally and through email about how to start this, how to start that. And I do want to answer some of those questions. It's just that, everybody's busy, I'm busy, and, I'm just trying to get time to actually do all of this content together and make it relevant or easy to understand. And there's actually a lot of technology like this, like piece of gear right over here, like the Rodecaster, that actually makes podcasting super simple. It's the reason why I have it over here, because I do want to talk about specific gear that you need in order to start podcasting. And it's getting easier every day because companies are making podcasting gear that are just purpose built for non-technology people to get started. Before, it used to be really nerdy to get into podcasting. Nowadays it's pretty streamlined, kind of like how YouTube is for creating video content. You can just grab a camera and go. In the podcasting world, it's kind of getting to that point where you just buy this piece of equipment and you can go and you can start making podcasts. So that's all I have for this video. Hopefully you found it interesting if you made it all the way to the end. If you have any questions or suggestions on what you would like to know, please leave in the comments below, and I will talk to you in the next video.